Okay, hello everyone. Welcome na naman sa isang lecture natin in psychometrics. Very important topic to ngayon. Very important na maintindihan ng mga psychometricians or future psychometricians yung konsepto ng predictive validity. At yan ang lilinawin natin in this lecture. But before I dig deeper into this concept, meron lang muna akong tanong na gustong sagutin: how to validate a prophet in the Bible? Especially for those of you who read the Bible, specifically the Old Testament, labas na labas doon ang proseso ng validity. So ang validity hindi lang siya ginagawa para sa mga psychological test. Old Testament days pa lang meron ng validity. It's just that ang binavalidate dito mga prophets. Now, in Deuteronomy 18:18, may nakasulat dito, I will raise up for them a prophet like you. So ang nagsasalita dito si God. And the you here refers to Moses from among their fellow Israelites. And I will put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. Yan naman talaga ang purpose ng mga prophets. Mouthpiece sila ng Diyos. Now, the point I want to emphasize here is God speaking here is basically telling the Israelites that He will make or raise a legitimate or valid prophet among the Israelites. Yan ang sinabi ng Diyos dito, gagawa siya ng isang valid na prophet. Okay, now, let's continue. You jump to verse 20. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name, God says, Diyos pa rin nagsasalita dito, anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of the other gods is to be put to death. Big implication based on this passage is hindi lahat ng prophets are valid. So in the previous passage, ang Diyos gagawa ng mga prophets, pero hindi lahat ng prophets na ma-encounter ng mga Israelites, totoo. Merong mga prophets na invalid, and the Israelites were warned against these prophets. Siguraduhin ninyo na yung prophet na pinakikinggan ninyo, isa siyang valid prophet coming from God Himself. So the next question now is how? How would the Israelites validate kung yung propeta ba in their midst is a prophet na gawa nga ng Diyos or galing sa Diyos? Eto na. You may say to yourselves, how can we know when a message has been spoken by the Lord? Actually, tanong din pala ng mga Israelites yan. Hindi lang pala ako yung nagtatanong, no? Pati yung mga Israelites tinanong yan. Lord, paano namin malalaman kung yung prophet na nagsasalita sa harap namin valid nga? And God answers, if what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. Ibig sabihin, ang pag-validate ng tunay na prophet is based on the prophecy. Kung ang prophecy na binigay ng prophet hindi nagkatotoo, ano mangyayari? Ibig sabihin, hindi siya tunay na prophet. Because vice versa, no? A valid prophet, ang tunay na propeta ng Diyos, when they say something, when they prophesy, when they say things will happen in the future, 100% dapat mangyayari. Because everything that God says about the future, 100% will happen. So kapag ang propeta nag-prophesy, gumawa ng prediction na hindi naman nagkatotoo in the future, peke, hindi siya valid na prophet. And in the Old Testament, one of the most valid prophets in connection to this would be Elijah. Lahat ng sinabi ni Elijah na mangyayari in the future, talagang nangyayari. 100%. That's why Elijah is considered one of the greatest prophets in Israel. Sampulan kayo ni Elijah sa 2 Kings. Then he said to him, si Elijah nagsasalita dito, ang kausap niya si King Ahaziah, so thus says the Lord, because you have sent messengers to inquire of Baal-zebub, who is an idol, the god of Ekron, is it because there is no God in Israel to inquire of His word? Nagalit ang Diyos dito sa king na to kung bakit siya nag-i-inquire sa mga lesser gods, sa mga idols. And so, from there, nag-prophesy ngayon si Elijah, therefore, you shall not come down from the bed where you have gone up, but shall surely die. Future tense. Mangyayari to in the future. Ang tanong, nangyari nga ba? You go to the same passage. So Ahaziah died according to the word of the Lord, which Elijah had spoken. Elijah prophesied, and it happened. Anong implication nun? Elijah is a valid prophet. Got that? Ganon sila mag-validate ng mga prophet during those times whether or not their prophecies came true. Now, i-connect na natin yan sa predictive validity from prophets. We talk about psychological tests. Psychological tests in a way can also function like prophets in such a way nakaka-predict din ng mga future outcomes ang mga psychological tests. As you can see here in the slide, ito ang definition ng predictive validity. The ability of a test to predict psychological outcomes in the future. Kaya nga dito sa slide nakalagay dyan, yung psychological test nagmimistulang or nagfa-function as parang bolang kristal na nakakapredict siya kung anong mangyayari sa mga test takers in the future. Now, let me further clarify this, no? Anong ibig sabihin when a psychological test has high predictive validity? Ibig sabihin yan, let me give you one example. Ito, hypothetical to. Halimbawa, meron tayong test, ang pangalan, Howard's Risk of Suicide Test, HRST. Again, hypothetical, doesn't exist in the market, for the sake of example lang. Sabihin natin tong test na to, ang pinagmamalaki sa manual, mataas daw ang predictive validity ng test na to. So the question now is, what does that mean? Ano ngayon? Ano ang kayang gawin ng test na to dahil mataas ang predictive validity niya? Ibig sabihin yan, if you administer this test to people, makakaasa ka that those people who will score high in this test, above chance levels in the future, will commit suicide. On the other hand, those people who will score low in this test, above chance levels, less likely, halos sureball tayo, hindi sila magpapakamatay. Nag-gets ninyo? Kasi nga maganda ang predictive validity ng test na to, na uhuhulaan niya kung sino ang magsusuicide sa kung sino ang hindi. And I hope you can see the value of these kinds of tests. Kapag ang test mo may kakayanan kang manghula, marami kang buhay na maliligtas. Like for example, dito sa Square Box, kapag na-identify mo yung mga high scorers from this test, which means halos sureball in the future, mataas ang tendency that they will commit suicide, dito pa lang pwede mo nang bigyan ng early suicide prevention. Palakasin mo na kaagad yung resilience, palakasin mo na kaagad yung mental health, para kapag may dumating sa kanila na trials or negative emotions, they can handle it well, it will not lead to committing suicide. Pwede na isalba mo sila, nailigtas mo sila before suicide happens. Got that? Yan ang pinakamagandang feature or tulong na maibibigay ng isang psychological test that can predict future psychological outcomes. Na-anticipate mo yung mga tao na who will be in psychological danger in the future and already make certain solutions at the moment habang hindi pa nangyayari yung mga dangers na yon. So the next question to ask now is, how can I know if my test can predict future outcomes? Yan ngayon yung i-discuss natin in this lecture. May procedure kasi yan for you to confirm kung meron nga bang kakayanan yung test mo na makapanghula. Okay? Now, before we talk about the steps, no, a very important concept you have to understand is called criterion. Wherever you are, read this with me. Ready? Go. What do you say? Criterion. This is the numerical expression or observable indicators of a test construct. Remember, anong ibig sabihin ng construct? This is what the test measures. Yung numerical expression ng construct such as personality, intelligence, anger, extroversion, lahat ng sinabi ko na yan, construct yun, yung numerical expression nun. Anong tawag doon? Yun yung criterion ng mga constructs na yon. Ginawa ko yung best ko para tagalugin to, para maintindihan nyo. Ano ang tanong na sinasagot ng criterion? Ano ang isang number na kapag mataas ka doon, ibig sabihin, nag-e-express ka ng isang psychological construct. Yun yung criterion, kung ano man yung number na yan. Okay, ito yung pinakasimple kong example that I hope mag-gets ninyo, no? Halimbawa, anger. Anger is the psychological experience. Ito yung pwede natin gawa ng isang psychological test, no? So, anger is the construct. Ano kaya ang posibleng numerical expression ng anger o ng galit? Pwede mong sabihin, yung blood pressure. Kasi indicator na kapag mataas ang blood pressure mo, expression yon na ang tao galit. Kasi nagsisikip yung mga ugat, no? Dahil ang tao nga nagagalit. So, we can say that a high blood pressure is a criterion of the construct anger. So kung gusto mong malaman gaano kagalit yung tao, one way to do that, kunin mo yung blood pressure niya. Ang assumption, kapag mataas ang blood pressure, most likely galit yan. So anger is the construct, while the blood pressure reading is the criterion. I hope naging malinaw. Other examples, pinagkaiba ng construct sa criterion. Intelligence is the construct. This is what a test can measure. Gaano ka katalino. So ano ang numerical expression na kapag mataas ka sa number na yon, nagre-reflect na matalino ka? Some examples would be your overall GPA in school. Kapag mataas ang GPA mo sa school, ang general average mo every term or every semester, most likely matalino ka. Or pwede rin namang yung IQ score mo na makukuha mo from an IQ test is a criterion of intelligence. And you can be creative here, no? Pwede rin sabihin mong the number of books that you have read. Siguro kung mas marami kang librong nabasa, it predicts that the person is intelligent. Diba? Kasi expression ng intelligence yung curiosity. So how do you express curiosity? Through reading the books. So reading books is the criterion, while intelligence is the construct. Another example, extroversion. Yun yung construct. Yun yung sinusukat ng isang psychological test. Pero ano yung mga numerical expression na ang isang tao is extroverted or mahilig siya sa presence ng ibang tao? Siguro pwede mong gawing criterion, ilang friends meron siya sa FB, or ilang party yung pinupuntahan niya, or ilang invitation ang nare-receive niya every year. Lahat ng sinabi kong yon are possible numerical expressions of extroversion. Extroversion is a construct. Yung mga sinabi ko kanina are the criterion. So please remember that concept. Again, ano yon? Criterion, because we are going to use that later on as we talk about the steps on how to find out kung ang test mo kaya nga bang manghula ng future psychological outcomes. Meron bang predictive validity yung test mo? Okay, so let's move on to case number 1. I'm going to zoom it in. If you want to pause the video, you can. Yan, i-resize ko para makita nyo. Yan. Just read on your own. Okay, now, ang gusto nating malaman dito is, meron tayong test na ginawa at gusto natin malaman kung yung test na yon, meron ba siyang kakayanan na manghula ng future psychological outcome, such as, sabi nga dito, yung performance ng mga estudyante sa eskwelahan. Kasi isa nga itong entrance exam. At ano ang purpose? Bakit natin gusto na yung entrance exam natin kaya niyang manghula ng galing ng estudyante? Gusto nating ganyan yung test natin para alam natin kung sino ang tatanggapin natin at sino ang i-reject natin using this exam as basis. Kasi ayaw nating tumanggap ng mga estudyante sa eskwelahan natin na quote-unquote magkakalat lang, pardon for the term. Pero for the sake of example, gamitin ko na lang din, ayaw natin tumanggap ng mga students na magkakalat lang sa school natin. Gusto natin, yung mga matatanggap sa school natin via the entrance exam are students who are deserving to stay inside the school. We want the best of the best. Gusto natin yung mga estudyanteng merong value for education, hindi magkakalat, magseseryoso sa pag-aaral. So, ang tanong ngayon is, etong test ba na ginawa, meron ba siyang ganong capability? Na di-differentiate ba niya yung mga estudyante na mag-a-achieve in the school versus hindi mag-a-achieve in the school? Yan ngayon yung gusto nating i-establish. Alright? So, how do we do that? These are the steps. Step 1, you administer this test to the incoming first-year students or doon sa mga aplikante na gustong pumasok sa school. Ibigay mo tong test na to. And then after you give them the test, of course, you get them you get their raw scores. O ngayon, dahil test validation pa lang to, swerte tong mga estudyante na to, tanggapin mo na rin sa eskwelahan mo regardless of their scores. Kasi anyway, we're still validating the test. So all the students, whether they perform well or not in this test, tanggapin mo na lang din sa school mo. And then step 3, you select the future criterion that you are going to weight from this group of students. Anong ibig sabihin ng criterion? The numerical expression of a construct. Ano ba ang construct ng test na ginawa natin dito? Intelligence, because it is an IQ test. So ang tanong natin, ano ang magandang criterion For intelligence, given this context, let's select what will be their GPA when they reach 4th year. Got that? Pero itong GPA, 4th year, wala pa ngayon yan. Kasi nga, yung mga binigyan mo ng test dito, mga incoming first year students pa lang. So you still need to wait for this GPA 4th year. Kasi nga, ang meron ka pa lang ngayon, yung test results ng mga incoming first year students. So in connection to that, step 4, the next step is to wait. Aantayin mo ngayon na lumabas yung future criterion, and then fast forward, kapag naantay mo na yan, after 4 years, nakuha mo na yung 4th year GPA ng mga estudyante, now it's time for you to correlate the two variables. If you remember, which are, ano yung dalawang variables na yon? Unang variable, yung entrance exam result nila, yun yung nasa step 1 kanina. And then, ano yung pangalawang variable, ano ang GPA nila 4 years after they stayed in the school. So I hope you can visualize kung anong itsura niyan sa Jamovi. So for subject 1, ito yung entrance exam result niya, let's say 4 years ago. At ito ngayon, yung current GPA 4th year grade niya. Ngayong gagraduate na siya, ano ang GPA niya. Ganun din kay subject 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And then at the end of the list, you are going to correlate these two variables. Okay? Ano ngayon ang mga potential results niya, no? Halimbawa, nakita mo na malakas ang correlation between those two variables, positive 0.93. There is a direct and strong relationship between entrance exam result and their GPA when they were 4th year. So itong entrance exam result nila nung first year sila. Itong GPA 4th year, itong malapit na silang graduate. Kapag yung dalawa, malakas ang correlation yan, anong interpretation yan, your test can predict future performance. Kasi yung ibig sabihin yan, those students who scored high in the entrance exam, yung mga magagaling, matataas ang score doon sa test na binigay mo nung entrance exam, nung mga incoming first year pa lang sila. 4 years after, before they graduate, sila rin yung mga matataas ang GPA. And the reverse is true. Those students with low entrance exam scores, bumilang ka ng 4 years, bago sila graduate, sila yung mga nagkakalat sa school. Meron silang low GPA. So anong ibig sabihin nun? Your test, the entrance exam na in-administer mo years ago can predict how students will do in the future. O kaya ang implication ngayon yan is, this is a good test as basis for accepting or rejecting student applicants. Makakaasa ka na yung mga estudyanteng papasa sa test na to magiging achievers in the school, while those students who will fail this test magkakalat lang inside the school. Therefore sila ngayon yung mga hindi mo tatanggapin to be inside your school. Nasatisfy na ngayon natin yung purpose ng case in the first place. Gusto nga kasi nating malaman if this test deserves to be the test, deserves to be the measure whether or not we will accept students inside the school. So magandang test to. Itong test na to, nape-predict niya sino ang mag-a-achieve, sino ang magkakalat. On the other hand, kapag ang relationship naman ng dalawang variables, yung entrance exam test scores nila during incoming first year sila, tapos i-correlate mo yan, let's say sa, typo lang to, dapat to 4th year. I-correlate mo yan sa 4th year GPA nila shortly before they graduate. Halimbawa, ang lumabas, weak ang relationship. There is a direct and weak relationship between those two variables. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Ibig sabihin, your test cannot predict future outcomes of performance. Ibig sabihin, walang pattern. Whether or not ang isang estudyante mataas or mababa sa entrance exam test, walang kinalaman yung mga scores nila sa entrance exam kung paano sila magpe-perform within the school. High or low entrance exam scores, as you can see here, has nothing to do with how they will perform inside the school. Which again means, paulit-ulit, ang test na to, hindi niya kayang mag-predict ng future psychological outcome. So this is not a good test na gagamitin mo as basis kung tatanggapin mo ba yung estudyante or hindi inside your school. Alright? So yun ang ibig sabihin ng predictive validity. So I hope at this point you can see the value kapag yung mga test natin matataas ang predictive validity. Imaginein mo, ang dami mong test at lahat yun may predictive validity. Meron kang depression tendency scale. Mataas ang predictive validity. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ma-anticipate natin sinong madidepress in the future. Meron kang suicide tendency scale. Mataas ang predictive validity. Nape-predict niya kung sino magsusuicide in the future. Meron kang job performance scale. Mataas ang predictive validity. Nape-predict niya kung sino ang mga empleyado na magiging magaling in the future after you hire them. Meron kang resilience scale. Nape-predict niya kung sino yung mga taong matitibay psychologically at hindi bibitaw sa mga problema in the future. 'Di ba? Ang gaganda ng mga test na to, marami tayong mga magagandang mga responses na pwedeng gawin to promote better mental health. Sabi nga dito, good things happen when we can anticipate certain things, especially psychological conditions. Sinabi ko na yung isang example dito, kapag alam mo in the future sinong mataas ang tendency na mag-suicide, pwede na natin maiwasan na hindi siya mag-suicide in the future, ipa-priority mo ngayon siya na turuan ng mga psychological skills para hindi magkatotoo yung pag-suicide niya in the future. The same thing with job performance scale. Ito pang HR. Kapag meron kang test na ginagamit, yung test na yan, kaya niyang hulaan sino yung magpe-perform well, sino ang magkakalat in the organization, makakatipid ka sa error. 'Di ba? Hindi ka ngayon mag-hire ng mga empleyado na magkakalat. Kasi nape-predict na kaagad ng test mo kung sino ang magkakalat versus hindi magkakalat. Kasi kapag nag-hire ka ng isang empleyado na nagkakalat, hindi siya magaling sa trabaho niya. Kasi nag-risk ka lang, nag-trial and error ka lang, it can cost company money. Yung mga errors niya, nag-translate sa mababang rating ng mga customers, therefore bumaba ang sales mo. Kung in the first place, hindi mo na lang talaga hinar yung taong yon. Kasi meron kang test that can predict sino magkakalat. Di hindi na nangyari sa yon. Lahat ng hinar mo, naging pampaganda pa ng organization. Because that test can also predict sino ang magpa-perform well in the organization. Ganyan kaganda ang mga test na merong mga predictive validity. Good things happen when we can anticipate. Got that? Now, let's talk about the disadvantage of predictive validity. Meron niyang loophole, no? And I'm going to show that in this case. I'm going to zoom it in. I-resize natin para hindi maputol. You can just pause the video if you like. Ayan. Ang pinaka-problema dito sa case na to is yung mga naka-underline na red words. 'Di ba? Ang problema dito, kailangan meron ka ng result kinabukasan. Kung yung test na binavalidate dito, meron nga bang predictive validity. We don't have the luxury of waiting for the criterion. Unlike yung kanina, yung case number 1 kanina, meron tayong luxury of waiting . Diba? Nagpaalam tayo sa eskwelahan, pinayagan tayo na mag-antay ng 3 years or 4 years to validate the test. Kaya lang ito bukas gusto na malaman ng boss mo. Asan yon? Gusto na malaman ng boss mo kung may predictive validity nga ba yung test mo. So you don't have the luxury to wait. Pwede pa bang ma-establish ang predictive validity nito? Ang sagot, pwede pa. The following are the steps, no? Step 1, you administer the test and then you get the raw score of the test. Kanino mo i-administer yan? Di sa mga empleyado. Remember, what does this test measure? Job efficiency. Yan ang kanyang construct. Step 2, tulad ng ginawa natin in the previous procedure, magse-select tayo ng criterion, the numerical expression of the construct. It's just that ang pagkakaiba ngayon, yung criterion dito is already existing. Nandyan na, present na. Unlike in the other procedure, we waited for the criterion in the future. Dito, nandyan na. Ang tanong, ano kayang criterion ang connected sa job efficiency na present na right now? Ang sagot, gawin mong criterion yung rating ng mga supervisors nila sa kanila last month. Readily available yan, hahanapin lang yan sa file ng mga empleyado. Kasi monthly, nire-rate naman sila ng supervisor. So for sure, ang HR may kopya niyan. Hahalukayin lang sa files ng mga empleyado yung supervisor ratings nila for the previous month. Bakit natin gusto yan? Kasi doon natin i-correlate yung mga score na nakita natin o nakuha natin from the test that we administered. So, which leads me to step 3, you correlate the test results and the supervisor's ratings last month. Nagigets nyo? So, yung score, yung test results dito, ito yung galing sa dinedevelop mong test. Yung supervisor's rating last month, ito yung binigay ng HR sa'yo na hinukay pa nila sa filing cabinet nila para lang ma-validate yung test na ginagawa mo. Now, to make the long story short, halimbawa, ang correlation coefficient is positive 0.93. There is a direct and strong relationship between the test scores they got and their supervisor's ratings from last month. Anong implication nun? Anong ibig sabihin yan? Those employees who scored high in the job efficiency test na ginagawa mo, last month, sila naman yung mga empleyado na matataas din ang ratings galing sa supervisor nila. And the reverse is true. Those employees who scored low in the job efficiency test that you are validating, it just so happened that last month, sila rin yung mga empleyado na mabababa ang binigay na score sa kanila. So what does this establish? The test that we are talking about here can predict the performance of employees last month. Got that? Ang tawag dyan, ito yung counterpart ng predictive validity, it's called concurrent validity. Wherein, ang ginagawa natin dito, sinusukat natin yung ability of a test to predict an already existing criterion. Kaya nga siya tinawag na concurrent validity. The criterion here is already existing. Unlike sa predictive validity, inantay mo pa yung criterion in the future. Kaya mas mabilis talagang gawin ang concurrent validity than predictive validity. Ang kailangan mo na lang talaga dito para matapos ang procedure, may access ka sa current criterion na i-correlate mo sa test results ng test na binavalidate mo. Now, when students learn the difference between predictive and concurrent validity, isa sa mga common questions nila, bakit hindi na lang pala lagi tayo mag-concurrent validity? Which makes a lot of sense. Mas mabilis naman pala mag-concurrent validity. Pag predictive validity kasi, aantayin mo pa. Aantayin mo pa yung 3 years, aantayin mo pa yung 4 years para lang lumabas yung criterion in the future. So, why not maging time efficient? Let's just use concurrent validity all the way. Ang sagot dyan, bakit ang mga psychometricians mas gusto pa rin ang predictive validity compared to concurrent validity? Kasi kapag ang test mataas ang predictive validity, it means mas magaling siyang manghula ng future outcomes compared to tests na mataas lang ang concurrent validity. Got that? Hindi ko naman sinasabi na kapag concurrent validity lang ang test, lahat ng hula niya mali. Meron ding rates ng tama. Pero kung ikukumpara mo yung hit, yung correct prediction between test with high predictive validity and test with high concurrent validity, mas mataas ang success rate. Mas mataas ang prediction rate ng mga test na mataas ang predictive validity. Just to give you some hypothetical numbers here. Going back to my hypothetical instrument, Howard's risk of suicide test. Ang construct dito, yung tendency to commit suicide. Kapag yung test na to, mataas lang yung concurrent validity, yung 10 high scorers na ma-identify mo when you administer this test to them right now, later on, siguro ang hit rate lang yan, 2 out of 10. 2 out of those 10 people who will commit suicide, or 2 people of those who scored high in this test will commit suicide. 20% accuracy ang prediction. Pero kapag yung test na yan, mataas ang predictive validity, tataas ang prediction success. 'Di ba? 10 high scorers, dahil predictive validity ito, around 80% ang prediction accuracy niyan. Sa 10 na kumuha ng test, sa 10 na mataas ang scores, 8 dyan ang talagang nag-commit ng suicide. Okay? So, mas magaling manghula ang mga test na mataas ang predictive validity than concurrent validity. The same thing with job efficiency test. Pang-IO psychology naman to. Mataas ang concurrent validity niya. Yung 10 empleyado dito na matataas ang score, siguro 1 out of 10 lang dyan. Isa sa 10 lang dyan ang talagang nagpe-perform well in the future. Pero kapag yung job efficiency test na yan, kapag ang mataas sa kanya is predictive validity, ano mangyayari? Sa 10 high scorers dyan, 7 sa 10 na yan will perform well. So between those two tests, ito ang mas magaling manghula ng future psychological outcomes compared to this test. That's why again, ang implication nito, psychometricians would always prioritize establishing the predictive validity of a test more than the concurrent validity of the test. Now, we started this lecture with God's Word. Isara natin with God's Word. Kanina, pinag-usapan natin si Elijah, mataas ang predictive validity. But among all the characters in the Bible, sino ang pinakamataas na predictive validity? Talagang lahat ng sinabi niya nagkakatotoo, syempre yung main character of the Bible, who is Jesus Himself. Siya yung ultimately high predictive validity, 1001% when He says something that will happen in the future, sureball, mangyayari yan. Like, bigyan ko kayo ng example, no? If you read the Gospels, Jesus predicted so many things about Himself. He predicted that He would suffer many things. He predicted that He will be killed. And He predicted that He will be raised to life. And those 3 out of 3 happened. Pinako siya sa krus, namatay siya, pero naging empty yung tomb kasi nabuhay siyang muli. When Jesus says something, 100%, His prediction becomes true. At ito, sa tingin ko, ito kasi nangyari na to tapos na to. Yung crucifixion and resurrection. Pero meron pang isang hindi nangyayari in the future that Jesus said something about, which is Judgment Day. There is a judge for the one who rejects me and does not accept my words. The very words I have spoken will condemn them at the last day. Although hindi pa naman nangyayari yan, medyo scary, pero 1,000% we can be sure that one day this will happen. The good news is, hindi pa nangyayari yan. Meron pa tayong choice, meron pa tayong chance para ito, hindi ito mangyari sa atin so that we will not be condemned. And how does that happen? Paano tayo hindi mako-condemn? Paano tayo hindi magiging, I don't want to use the word victim, pero paano tayo hindi magiging subject ng predictive validity of Jesus' words? Don't reject His word, accept His words. Yun, para hindi mangyari itong condemnation that He was talking about as a prophecy, which again, 1,000% one day will happen. Alright? So sana yung mga biblical passages na yan, nakonek ko ng maayos sa psychological level para magets nyo ang konsepto ng predictive validity in psychological tests. If you have any questions or comments, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa baba. Sir Howard here. Sana natuto kayo ngayon about psychometrics. Until the next lecture, God bless everyone. Bye-bye.